Everyone, it's Jen here from tarotspirit.net. I'm here to do your weekly reading by each sign for the week beginning October 29th. Please note that there was some update with WordPress or something, and like all of the text essentially on my website got wiped out, and stupid me, I didn't have it anywhere else, not that I can remember at least. So until I get a chance to redo it, there isn't any information. If you go to order a reading, you can still order a reading, but there isn't sort of my blurb about how I do my readings. And how I do is I do tape a YouTube video for you. But you can just contact me if you have any questions, if you want to order a reading, since there's no clear information on my website. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to start with Aries. I am using the Ostara Tarot today. It's a beautiful deck. It has very fall colors, which is why I chose it for this time of year. Happy Halloween, at least in the United States. Ooh, that one came out. Seven of Cups. So Seven of Cups is people will say sort of a very dreamy energy. It's read that, you're having trouble making a decision, making up your mind. And that's definitely part of it. So if you've been going back and forth on something and having trouble making your mind up, that's this energy. But the Seven of Cups energy of being daydreaming and fantasizing and wishing and trying to play out in your head how things could be, how you want things to be, I think is really essential, because how else do you figure out what you want to do unless you dream about it and imagine how things could be? So it really is an essential energy. Of course, there is a point where it may be happening too long, where you have to move it from being in your head to actually taking action with it. But you may be very creative this week. Maybe you have a lot of ideas. So definitely write things down so they don't disappear. And there is something you want to manifest. So the Magician, so some of you may want to write a book, for example, or write something. And it's like you're building up those ideas this week. And you do have the ability to manifest these things that you're dreaming about. So it's just a matter of figuring out when to take the action, when to move. Oh, and you have the nice Ace of Wands under there, which is inspiration, creativity. Now, you may not be acting on it because you've decided that there's too much competition. Say you want to do a YouTube channel with tarot. When I started this 3 years ago, I could pretty much count most of the readers out there. Now there are so many I can't even count. But it doesn't mean you couldn't do this. You're going to have your own style, your own people who will resonate with, and that's, I think, the key to competition. It's like, in a way, it feels like there are no new ideas, really, but you put your own unique spin. So don't try to copy other people. Be unique, stand out, and that's how you'll compete, by being your unique self. So don't let your ego say, "Oh, there are too many people doing yoga now. Don't do it. The market's saturated. It won't work." Just do yoga your way and you'll attract the people. You don't want to try to attract the people that don't resonate with you, because then they're going to be disappointed, and there will be no pleasing them anyway, because they want you to be what they want you to be, instead of you are providing a service for how you are. That doesn't mean, of course, you can't take some constructive feedback and stuff, but don't allow your negative thoughts to keep you only in this dreamy Seven of Cups energy. at some point you have to shift to action. And you do. I mean, we have the Three of Wands here. So this is saying that if you have been bouncing ideas around, like these ideas do have, especially with the Magician, the possibility of being successful, of really, this is a card of your ships coming in, of things coming to fruition, of really being able to start something. So this is amazing energy if you've thought about starting a new business or a hobby or anything, any creative project, anything you've decided to implement. This would be a week to actually start implementing and not just dreaming and wishing and hoping and thinking about it. Okay, let's move on to Taurus. How are you, Taurus? I hope you're doing well. Happy Halloween if you celebrate Halloween. If you're in the, I don't know if what other countries celebrate Halloween. I know Halloween is derived from probably other harvest type holidays or the Day of the Dead and things like that, but it's always a fun time in the United States, I think. Wow, some interesting cards for you guys. You have two knights. So you have this Knight of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And this is a change in thinking, a change in how you communicate things. You may, and he looks kind of fierce here, I think, with the bear teeth on his head there. But it just can, you may be like, I'm not getting the results I want in relationships at work and whatever. And you just keep running up. You feel like you just get into the same pattern. So this is like, yeah, then you have to change something. You can't wait for everyone else to change around you. The only thing you can control is yourself. So you may want to experiment with different communication style. Experiment, like, you may need to change your perspective, and maybe you're thinking, I need to get my point across to someone, and maybe you need to completely scrap that. Not that you're giving up on something, but like, I need to start from scratch completely and rethink this and figure it out a different way, and see if you can focus more on being successful than being right, and find a different approach, have a different perspective to whatever you're trying to accomplish. This is going to be a bit of an epiphany for you guys, because we have the Judgment card, and this is just like an aha moment, an awakening. When you get the Judgment card, you don't quite live the same way you have. Like, it's some lesson is really struck you this week. And again, it's like, I've got to start approaching things from a different way. I've got to start looking at things from a different way. In some area, it hasn't been working for me the way I would like it to have. And so I realize it's myself that has to change, not everyone else around me. You have this gorgeous Ten of Pentacles. This is a fantastic card. It's sort of the ultimate money card, but it's much deeper than that. It's about legacy, many generations, inheritance. And it's kind of interesting, that inheritance, because if you think about inheritance, sure, we can inherit money, but this is really, we can inherit behaviors, thought patterns, and all sorts of things like that. So I think there comes a point in time when you have to think, okay, is this family legacy? Do I want to carry it on, or is it time for that behavior, or that way of thinking, or that attitude to to end. Like, that's not something I need to continue to carry over. Maybe you had a family that was very conservative, and you have to do this exactly this way. Not, I can say conservative, strict. That's the word I want. You are going to do this, and you're going to go to college, and you're going to get married and start a family, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe you felt this pressure to do things a certain way, so you've curtailed your creativity or your own interest because you didn't want to disappoint, or it's just been driven into you from day one that that's the right way to do something. And it's so you might want to take those out and examine those things, and it may be an aha moment, like, oh, wait a minute, I maybe want to do things differently for myself. And then you have a gorgeous, gorgeous, oh no, I'm not sure which one this is. I'm not sure. They're in a boat, but I think it's the Knight of Wands. And so I'm just going to read it. That's what I thought it was instantly. I may be wrong, but I'm just going to read it as the Knight of Wands because that's what I thought it was. So I'm going to stick with that intention. Another night. Things are really shifting for you guys this week. He's motivated, inspired. It's it's like once you get your head wrapped around something and you're like, wait a minute, I've been holding myself back, or you realize it's an internal thing that you need to shift. And once you do, it's like you're released, you're free, and your energy starts flowing. You're inspired and motivated to move forward in a different way. And it's going to be different. It might be a subtle shift that maybe no one really will notice right away except for yourself, but it's a significant shift for you and how you live your life moving forward. Okay, let's move on to Gemini. Hi there, Gemini. Thank you for joining me. Whoops. Oh, and the last sign had the star card underneath there. Other card. Nice. Okay, hope you're doing well. Whoops. The King of Pentacles just fell out. How many is that? Okay, you guys will get a bonus card. Okay. So at the bottom of the deck, you have the Hermit card. And the Hermit, he's about soul searching. And this isn't just a little small check-in or self-reflection. This is really a time where you really own or learn some deep wisdom that you will carry with you for the rest of your life. Like you got something. It's like, oh, okay. You learn to let something go. You learn to shift your perspective. You learn that, this is how I want to conduct myself in life. This is what makes sense to me. So you may break free from things you were brought up with, ways, society tells you to be, and really looked within and said, this is what makes sense to me. And this is how I want to conduct myself in the world. And it's kind of like your own mission statement, your own plan of how you think you should behave moving forward and how you conduct yourself and interact with other people. So it's an inward realization that then is expressed outward in how you carry yourself day to day. You have this King of Pentacles. He's a very positive king, material things, in money and work. I mean, it could be that you have this Ten of Swords. So along with the Hermit, it's like some sort of negative thought pattern or I want to say it's a thought pattern, like you're putting an end to. You're no longer going to think like I'm not worthy, I can't succeed. I'm sorry, excuse me. I can never succeed the way other people do. I'm not meant to have that type of life. Like I think it's like negativity, and you finally realize like, wait a minute. I'm just as good as everyone else. I deserve abundance just like everyone else. And you're going to you're going to put an end to that type of negative thinking and say, "Hey, I can be just as prosperous and happy and fruitful and live as a rich life. I deserve that just as much as anyone else." And then you have 2 cups cards here. You have the Queen of Cups. These cards beautiful. And the 3 of Cups. And for me, it's like this realization, you're really going to start feeling better. You're going to start sharing your emotions more, being not quite as guarded and opening up. So if you have experienced hurt in the past, especially like in relationships, you're going to let that go this week and say, hey, I think I'm ready to open myself to new experiences, new people, and move forward and let go of some of that hurt and resentment that maybe I've been carrying with me. Lots of times we don't even know we've been carrying it with us, and it's almost like there's a certain amount of space in there, and the resentment or the sadness or the negativity has been occupying too much space. So you're going to let that go. And then it's like, oh, you have all this room for all these new experiences and new positive emotions to flow in. Let's move on to Cancer. Hi there, Cancer. Hope you're doing well. Just take a deep breath. Be receptive. We'll just pull a few cards and see what might be going on next week. I think there's a full moon November 4th. I really should look at that, or that might be the week after. No, that's this week. Temperance. 10 of Swords. Gemini just had that. So what do you need to... So the 10 of Swords comes up often when like you are at your... You've sort of hit rock bottom with something that you've been overthinking, maybe even, where you've been thinking about. The 8 of Swords is like something before, it was something you were maybe in denial about, and then the 9 of Swords is just insomnia, anxiety, and worry, and just obsessive thinking about a situation. And when the 10 comes up, it's like you're done. You are not going to think, worry, deal with the situation anymore. It's like you finally let go. And just whatever that means, if you have to let a relationship go, something that's been causing all sorts of stress and anxiety, you just surrender and let it go, but you're never going to go there again. So using the example of a relationship, if it's a relationship, like you are done. There is no, maybe this is a relationship where they keep coming back. You know, you break up and they keep coming back, or it's very tumultuous, like you have a big fight and you're done, but then you come back together, and probably, got to be honest, all your friends are just so overdone as well, because everyone sees that you guys need to be apart. But it's like you finally see it, you finally get it, and there's a collective thank freaking God that's done. But you finally have gotten it, and you're letting go and you're moving on, and it's like there is no more. I mean, you might be a little sad about it, but in a way you're like, you know what? I finally see that this is not healthy, and I'm out. I'm out. Bye-bye. So it's a really good card to have, I think. At the bottom of the deck is the Queen of Pentacles, and she wants a calm, grounded, centered home. Not just a house, but a home. She doesn't want drama. She doesn't want instability. She is grounded and solid. So that's what you're working towards this week. You're like, none of this is worth my life being up in the air, or um it just keeps coming, like drama. Like, no more drama. I'm done. I want peaceful, quiet, grounded, simple, warm um life. And then the Temperance is balance. So it's like, by getting rid of this negative situation, it can't even be negative thought patterns, whatever it is, you'll know whatever came to your mind, everything comes back into balance. Like, you didn't realize maybe how much energy and mental energy and even emotions, like, it was sucking from you. And it's just like, oh my God, I'm so glad that's done. It's like a huge release. And you've gained a lot of wisdom from the situation. The Hierophant means it's like, you're never going to allow yourself to get in this situation. Like, when you see a red flag moving forward, you're done. Or you're going to be in more control of your thoughts, and you're not going to allow yourself to sort of go down that obsessive rabbit hole again. Like, you've learned a really big lesson, and I just feel all this, like, peace again, and centeredness and calmness and groundedness, and it's going to be really healing a week for you guys. So let's just move on to Leo. Hi there, Leo. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining me. So I'm going to pull a few cards and see what sort of energies are coming up for you guys. For some of you guys, obviously, this is a general reading. So you got the Seven of Cups just flew out. Aries had that. I don't know if you have an Aries connection, or like a rising sign or moon sign. Two Cups cards. So sometimes we'll see what else comes out. When you have Cups cards and you're a fire sign, that can be a little, put a damper on your fiery personality. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's good to sort of have some water to cool the flames down. You know what I mean? So it can have a calming effect. At the bottom, we do have the Lovers. So, we have the Seven of Cups and the Four of Cups. This is interesting. So this is not going to be for everyone, obviously, but for some of you, you're not sure about your relationship anymore. You're just like, I don't know. Maybe if you're single, I think for some of you, you're online dating, you're going out with a lot of different people, you have, these different options going on, but one person that's really pursuing you, you're just not having him. She's not even looking at that cup. She's like, mm-mm. And what I think it is I think you're scared, because I think maybe the one part you're like afraid. It's one thing to go out with people that and not really have any expectations if you're just sort of casually dating. But for the one person that maybe you've known or whatever that's actively pursuing you, it's scaring you, because it would be, you kind of know on some level it would be serious if you got into it, and you're afraid to get into something serious. So you have to think about that. You gotta. Good. Yes, I'm college educated. You have to really consider that and see if you're allowing past experiences to, like, if you're afraid to open your heart, and maybe you just aren't ready for it right now, and that's okay. But this does point to a good opportunity that you you may not be, that you're ignoring or not seeing because you're purposefully turning a blind eye. The Hierophant. So maybe though you're just not at this point in a space where you can honor your commitments. I mean, the Lover's card is about honoring commitments. And the example I like to use, and it's, I didn't make this up, but so you get married. It is very easy to stand up on your wedding day and say, I do. I'm going to honor whatever all the words are. And that's great and it's fun and it's a good party, but the commitment really comes every day in all the little choices you make, and whether you choose your significant other or not, and in any commitment, whether if you commit to a job, if you're on Facebook all day, or if you're actually working, like what are you doing? Are you going home to your boyfriend? Or are you going out with your friends? How are you honoring your commitments? So maybe you're not sure if you got into a relationship, you're just not ready to make that type of commitment, and that's okay. Like, that's a call you have to make. Just remember, often when someone's pursuing you or something's pursuing you, don't be that person that the minute they're kind of like, all right, I'm going to leave you alone, all of a sudden want them because you like that person in the background waiting for you. If you've ever been on the other side of that, it's not cool. And it's an insecurity in yourself that, oh no, I don't want them, but you like them there. You like having someone adoring you. So just be upfront with someone, and let them go. If you're not able to make a commitment, you need to let them go, and don't do things to keep them waiting in the wings for you, because that's just immature. The Hierophant is gaining some wisdom. So I think you're going to have, for anyone, whether you're single or in a relationship forever, maybe have some realizations about how you interact in relationships, and honoring commitments, and examining, are they truly honoring their commitment, and am I? Maybe we need to negotiate or talk about things, but there's going to be some soul searching about that, and hopefully some open and honest communication that can, in the end, improve your relationships moving forward. And let's move on to Virgo. How are you, Virgo? I hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful fall day in Vermont. And I'm using the Ostara Tarot. I don't know the correct pronunciation, but it has these beautiful fall colors. So I thought it would be appropriate for the northern hemisphere, at least. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck is the Hermit card. And the Hermit card is about doing some soul searching, going deep, having a realization about yourself. And it's usually a realization that it adjusts. It's a course correction, how you navigate in the world. And it's a very good card because it shows your understanding that in order to change the outer world, you have to change your inner world. The only thing we can control is ourselves. So by going within and adjusting yourself, your beliefs, your perspective, your thought patterns, then in turn the outer world changes. And it's really, boy, it took me a long time. I'm still learning it, don't get me wrong, but I remember once I was bitching about something. I was so sure I was right about how other people act, and my father said, well, it's all about perspective. And I don't know, I was in probably a late teen or early 20s, and I just remember looking at him and being like, oh my God, he is so wrong. That person is wrong. I know it. And I mean, I was just, um, but he's completely right. It's all about perspective and how you think and approach things. So you have the Magician. It's like once you decide, once you have that shift, and these are all Wands cards. So you are manifesting, um, taking things from. So it's like you've gone inside, and now it's like you're ready to put things into action, put this realization into action, and take control of things by taking control of your thoughts and behaviors and your own actions. And once you do that, you realize that you can create whatever you want because you're not always projecting or looking externally for things to happen to you, but that you are the one that creates your reality and makes things happen. And it's like you start putting things out there, doing things. And this is a card, this Three of Wands, about your ships coming in and really being able to manifest. And it's going to happen really fast. Like you're going to be amazed at how this inner shift has completely transformed your outer world. So far, you have the most transformative week. Like this isn't just going to be a week where of mundane thing. I'm actually, a lot of people have been getting some deep cards with some shifts in it, but for you, it's going to be really abrupt and things are just going to start flying forward, moving forward. The one caution of this card is that it can seem, even though you've put things in motion, you've wanted this and maybe wanted it forever, but it wasn't until you had this shift that you were really open to allowing it to happen. It can feel a little fast and panicked, like you don't have time to process it. So the caution is not to self-sabotage. You can do this. This is what you want. So just really allow yourself to go for it when your life starts unfolding the way you want it to. New opportunities, new relationships, new jobs, new creative ideas. Like hop on and go for it. All right, let's move on to Libra. Hi there, Libra. How are you? Everyone, take a nice deep cleansing breath and just set an intention to be open to any messages that sort of trigger something in your mind. And if they don't, they don't. Let them go. It just means in this very general reading, it's not for you, or you're not quite ready to receive that yet, which is fine. So we have what I believe is the Knight of Wands. I should probably look that up. The Hierophant keeps coming out. The Two of Swords. Okay, so this card is making a decision. It's you're in your mind and you're just like, because if you look, this is a kingfisher, right? No. Actually, I'm not sure. It's so cute. The bird has a teeny tiny little blindfold on. Oh, it's adorable. But there's water in it. It's a bird that lives near the water and needs water, but tends to, like birds do, stay up out of the water. It's not like a duck that would be in the water. So it sort of shows that you need to go up into your higher mind, into your mind to make a decision and not allow your emotions, which is symbolized by the water, to cloud your decision-making ability this week. So definitely, you need to check in with your feelings, but use your brain. And he has his eyes covered. Again, that's so adorable, which means really go within. So be careful not to consult too many people, because then you get a lot of opinions based on their experiences and not necessarily based on what is the right decision for you. That doesn't mean being in denial. That's the only caveat. That if, the consensus with everyone in your life is one thing and you just keep doing something different, or you're not making a decision, which, as you know, is making a decision, just deciding not to deal with something. But it should be a logical decision, not one based on guilt or feeling pity or something like that. So when the Knight of, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to look it up. I apologize. Give me a second here. I can't tell if this card is where's my book? This beautiful, 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 beautiful Star of Tarot. I highly recommend it. It's absolutely gorgeous, but it's artist interpretation, which I absolutely love, but I just want to make sure I'm reading this card the right way. No, it isn't. See, I read it wrong for another sign, but the intention was such that I read it the way I thought it was. This is the Knight of Cups. Okay, that makes sense. So a change that's interesting because I just said don't let your emotions cloud your decision. And this is having a change in emotions. So I think what that's saying is that you are the Queen and King of Cups master their emotions. Like, they check in with them. They know them. They can express them, but those emotions do not overpower everything. They're emotionally mature. So, for example, they'll be in a relationship, but if that relationship isn't working out, they will not let things like codependency or guilt, like I said, or pity or whatever, overcloud the fact that this is not a emotionally healthy relationship, and I need to leave. And this King of Swords, he comes in and he just cuts all that away. He cuts those emotional ties that are keeping you stuck from making the right decision, that are clouding your judgment. And with the Hierophant, it's like, this is a card of wisdom, like getting something. And it's interesting because this card, these bits of wisdom can come from very unusual places. You may be standing in the grocery line and some headline on something like strikes you, and you have this flash of insight, or some little kid makes a comment, or a stranger, some sort of synchronicity happens, and you're like, oh, like that's a sign, or you all of a sudden get something that allows you to transform in some way and move forward. And definitely with a lighter load, it's like you're cutting away all that emotional baggage that isn't healthy. It isn't positive. It isn't helping you. There's no need to carry it forward, but for some reason you don't want to let it go. So this is like, let it flow away like that river underneath this bird, and let it go. Okay, let's move on to Scorpio. Hi, Scorpio. I hope you're doing well. Take a deep breath. Oh, we got two. Ooh, look at this. Oh, I just love this deck. Look at this gorgeous card. I have to look up what it is. I think it's the Nine of Wands. Pretty sure. Oh, it's beautiful. Reminds me of a full moon night, right? This Hermit keeps coming out. So with the Hermit coming out a lot, it's about, and so this has come out quite a few times. This week for a lot of signs here is going to be a week where you realize you need to let something go. Cut it out of your life, even if it's your own internal negative thinking, or something you've been obsessing about or been in denial about. It's like think of that, the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Swords that come before this. It's denial and obsession and worry and anxiety and insomnia. And it's like you're just putting an end to it. So whatever has been you've allowed to, and it doesn't mean it's not serious and is not warrant being worried, but it's like you realize obsessing and worrying about this is not going to do anything. It's time to shift somehow, and it's going to be an internal shift, and figure out a different way to deal with it, and it's going to be letting it go. And the Hermit is like, you need to go deep. This isn't just sort of, oh, how do I feel? What does my intuition say? This is going deep. This is really like profound. Like, I need to change how I am thinking about things, how I deal with things, how I conduct myself in the world, what my beliefs are, and why I'm allowing this situation to continue or to zap all my energy. And it's a real shift where you realize maybe you've just been, this person needs to change, that person needs to change. Why does this keep happening to me? I can't control. What can I do? Because you feel out of control, and you realize it's a reflection of you feeling out of control. And that the only thing we can control is ourselves, our behaviors, our thoughts, and our actions. And it really clicks something in you where you're like, I'm letting this go. I am surrendering to the fact that I cannot fix that other person, solve the situation, whatever. I need to release, let go of this situation and allow it to be, and work on what I can deal with, and that's me. And it's something that you've been, this doesn't mean, it can mean for some of you that you give up on something, that is the right decision to let it go. You're done. You walk away, and that's fantastic. But in another way, it's maybe something you can't let go of. Like it's something you have to deal with. And instead of maybe obsessing, like, I don't want to deal with this, I can't deal with this, you have this realization of just peace and surrender, and you're able to deal with it in a different way that doesn't, you're not completely unhinged and worried anymore. You're just like, I can control what I can control, and I'm going to work on that, but I can't let it consume my whole being. And then this King of Pentacles, it's like you become so much calmer and grounded and centered and solid, that it will have a profound, it's like you are now, with this realization, building a firmer foundation that you will have from this day forward. And you're going to work on yourself and what you can control, which is yourself and your immediate surroundings that you have created. You know what I mean? And it will be very fruitful for the long term. Okay, let's move on to Sag. How are you, Sagittarius? I hope you're doing well. Let's take a deep breath. I'm going to spray a little spray to clear. I love this. It's lemongrass. Try to clear the cards here. Clear my energy. I'm just going to pull a few cards to see what energies might be out there for some of you. It's a general reading, of course. The Lover's card. The Death card. So 2 majors. And the Justice card. Okay. I don't think I've had this card come out. This is a fairly new deck. It's beautiful. This Justice card is This week it's receiving some form of validation and things being brought into balance and feeling justified, or I think validated is probably a better word. It's just like something that's, what's, there's just been an injustice and you've just, it kind of always bothers you. Like, that was not fair. And it's amazing just you may hear something, like I use the example, I had this horrible boss. I mean, she was abusive. She would yell at me. I mean, I really am a good employee. I'm not on Facebook. I'm like, when I'm at work, I work. For example, there's all this gossipy stuff going on at work that I had no idea, that someone told me about. And I was like, wow, I had no clue. Like, cause I'm busy working. But this boss was so terrible to me, and she eventually got fired. And it's not like I'm like, yeah, B got fired. But it was kind of like, I knew she didn't treat me well, but no one really did anything about it. But it finally, like, it just was like, it just felt like, yeah, that was unfair. And it was validation that I wasn't making that up and I didn't deserve to be treated. And she she did not treat me properly. With the Lovers card here, it's also about really making sure you're honoring commitments and bringing things into balance. So examining this week, where are you spending all your time and energy? Where is it going? And what do you say is a priority in your life? And overlaying what you actually do and seeing how well that matches up. And if you're really saying, oh yeah, I eat healthy, and then when you really like write down what you eat, you realize, wow, I cheat a lot. I don't eat as healthy as I say I do or think I do, or I don't exercise as much as I say I do or think I do, like counting like really wearing a Fitbit, or my phone counts my steps, and looking at them and say, oh, I really felt like I got a lot of exercise today, but boy, I only went 4,000 steps. That's not even close to what I think. And just really seeing if you walk the walk and you're just not all talk. And that can be in relationships. Who's maybe you think you're always doing stuff, but when you're the one doing things, and you maybe have some resentment against your partner, but when you look at what they do and really look at all the things you do, it can be really good realization, like, wow, they do a lot more than I give them credit for. And it can just help bring things into balance. Again, another reading with, like, the Death card is just transformation, like this realization about honoring your commitments and really, really examining and being honest about if you honor your commitments the way you do. It probably is going to result in this aha moment where you're like, yeah, it's like, you got to make a decision. Are you going to be the type of person that's all talk? And this can be in just one little area of your life. It doesn't have to be every area of your life. But I think if you tend to honor your commitments, you can be good about them or you're not. Whatever. I'm going to let that go. You need to examine your own life. And if there is a part where you're really more talk than action, it's like you need to make a decision for you and not go by your emotions, but really like analytically looking at, like, do you follow through on your commitments, and make a decision. What kind of person are you? Are you the person that honors their commitments, or are you all talk? But examining that and really sort of holding yourself accountable and holding yourself up to light and really looking at things, it will enable you to bring things into balance, and you're going to feel better. So I know it sounds a little negative, but you're going to feel better about things after you've gone through this process. All right, let's move on to Capricorn. How are you, Capricorn? Hope you're doing well. It's so interesting how some of the same cards keep coming out time and time again for everyone's readings. Oops. How many is that? 4? Okay, you guys are going to get an extra card. What's the bottom of the deck? 6 of Cups. That, for example, this card has come out for many, many signs, and when that card comes out, yeah, okay. You guys need to let something go. You need to simplify your life. It's like you've been trying to do too many things, trying to be too perfect, overcommitting yourself, taking on responsibilities that aren't yours, and to the point where it's really been stressful for you. You've had a lot of anxiety and you're like mentally exhausted. And this week will be a week where you're like, you kind of are like, oh, it just, it hits you and you're like, I need to stop. I need to let that go. I need to deal with this and stop stressing about it. And it's very final in a very good way. It's like you're done. You're not doing it anymore. You're not allowing that person, that situation to suck any more of your energy. Like life is too short. This 6 of Cups, it's like simplify. You're going to take steps to simplify, to like declutter your life. And that can be literally your surroundings, but also any baggage you're carrying or stress and anxiety or cord you have that of responsibility, feeling responsible for things that probably are not your responsibility. So really try to be lean and mean. It's like let other people deal with their crap. It's almost like I don't mean this in a nasty way, but it's like kind of like mind your own business. When you think of it that way, instead of like maybe you're always trying to help other people, which is great, but it gets to a point where it's like, you know what? You don't have to feel responsible for everyone. It's time. And it could even be with like an older child. Like it's time to let them live and do their thing and figure things out. And it's okay. You're not being a bad person. Like you're raising them to be able to conduct themselves in the world and not to do everything for them. But there's also a card about simplifying things, not overcommitting to things, and it's almost like some of you may be super competitive. So think about that. Like, am I doing this so I look good for other people, or is it something that I really need to do? And you are absolutely walking away from something. You have the World. So this is a culmination, tying something up. It could be ending one job to start another. Moving a relationship. I mean, it can be anything where you're like, you know what, this is really just isn't serving me anymore. And it doesn't have to be horrible, but it may be something that was really stressing you out. But you just come to the realization that it's like, I don't have any more to give. Like I like to call this you're emotionally bankrupt. You've given too much. You don't have any more to give, and to take care of yourself, it's time to move on. Like, where's your limit? Like gambling, how much money are you going to put in that slot machine until you just realize that you're not getting the payoff, and it's time to move on and to stop. Like, where's your limit? And you're realizing where your limit is, and it's going to be very freeing for you. It's something really necessary, and then you're gonna start a whole new way of life. You're gonna feel better. You're not going to allow yourself to get bogged down in things that you don't need to get bogged down in. So let's move on to Aquarius. How are you, Aquarius? Hope you're doing well. Take a deep breath, or I need to take a deep breath. Oh, that one flew out. Oh, the Chariot. Queen of Pentacles. the Knight of Pentacles, and the High Priestess. Okay, so for some of you, you are going to realize, I need a new job. I need a new way of life, a new job, a new home. I want to move, like something that's tangible in your life. You are going to actively, it's not a reaction. It's like, I'm not being valued at work. I don't like where I live. I need to start saving money. You're going to make a very clear decision about where you want to go. And it's almost like recalibrating. Maybe this happens to us so often, like, I don't know, you move somewhere with a girlfriend or boyfriend, or you need a job and you sort of just fall into a job, and then a decade later you're like, maybe that relationship ended, or you never ended up really looking for another job, and you got promoted a couple times, and now you feel like, oh, I can't leave that job even though this is not what I ever saw myself doing or want to do. And the Chariot's like, hey, it's time to reassess, to recalibrate, and to look at where you really wanted to go and see if you didn't get detoured. And there, every day, every moment is an opportunity to get back on your path. So this is making an action plan. It's not reacting like, oh, I don't like this job, so I'm just going to take this other job. It's like, this is the job I want, and I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to, educate myself. Whatever you need to do to, I don't want to live here. I want to live in a different climate. I'm going to make a plan, and even if it's not for a year from now, I'm going to start a plan and working towards that goal. So it's a very practical energy, and it should be a very successful energy. With the Knight and Queen of Pentacles, they want a stable, calm, fulfilling life. They want to live where it's not just a place to live, it's a home. They want to earn money that feels good, that's solid. Maybe some of you have like seasonal work or a temp, and it's like, I need a more solid job. I need to buy, not rent. I need, whatever. And it's interesting. For some of you, it's like you've had this, it's like you really were in denial. You really stuffed down, and you just sort of accepted, like, okay, well, this is how it's going to be. This is the only job I can get. But you have this voice that kept coming up and saying, but you really want to do this. You really wanted to do that. And it's like you're finally listening to it. You're finally allowing it to come to the surface and say, you know what, I don't want, like, this is what I want. And I'm not going to resign myself to something that just because I sort of ended up here somehow. So really examining things. Oh, and you have this beautiful Ace of Wands. It's very action oriented. So you're really going to take charge, and you're not going to allow if you've resigned yourself to something in your life, that's going to be no longer. You're not going to just allow life to pass you by. You're going to start actively making things happen for you the way you want it. All right, let's move on to Pisces. Hi, Pisces, how are you doing? Please remember, these are general readings. Just going to pull 3 cards and see if there's some energies. What energies may be out there? The 3 of Cups. So some of you may just be going out with friends, hanging out with some coworkers, a nice supportive atmosphere with some people. And it can be fun. Like, I think it's fun. This Five of Wands can be competition and strife, and it can be a tense energy, but it can also be friendly competition. And it's all about sort of perspective and the energy and intention in something. So it's almost like it could be like at work, there's a contest of who can do something, and instead of becoming nasty and um, and a negative thing, it really is fun and motivates people. So you may want to find a way this week to make things fun and to motivate yourself in a positive way. And instead of thinking, oh, I gotta go out and I didn't work out and I'm so lazy, I'm so disappointed in myself. Like, get together with some friends and go for a walk, go for a hike, like go apple picking. I don't know if the apples are still, we had a frost. Go do something. Like, make it fun instead of feeling like daunting. And the magician is really like, hey, you can do it, but you have to sort of change your mindset, and you have to be determined to, and you have to do it. Like, you can't just hope and dream. And even manifesting, like, you have, I mean, what's the word? Like, positive affirmations, which are all great. Don't get me wrong; those are perfect. Have gratitude, be grateful, but you do have to get off your butt and do something. Like, they're just, the people that are successful are doers. That's just the way it is. They are not stuck in their head. They're not just setting intentions and hoping good things. They get up and they do something, and they do things and make things happen. And the magician says you can do it just as much as anyone else. Um, and by doing that, you become more balanced. Like, you just feel better when you've accomplished things. So don't allow like competition to get you down or feel like, oh, I can't do that because there's everyone else is always doing that. Maybe you want to start like a side business or your own business or something, and you think, oh, I can't do that. There's so many other people who do the same thing. But remember, you do it in your own unique way. Um, so bring your uniqueness, your twist on something, and you will attract the people um, that resonate with you. And honestly, you don't want to work with people that don't resonate with you, because you're always going to have different expectations. You know what I mean? Um, so try to instill like just a fun, friendly competition vibe. Go out with friends. You may meet someone this week that's coming up for some of you. Um, but the bottom line is to take action and just start to make. You got to start. You got to do to make things happen. And it's time to get out, meet people, take a chance. And oddly enough, you're going to feel more in balance, because you're not going to feel sort of frustrated waiting around for something to happen. You're going to feel better actively going out and doing something. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.